Welcome, Gemini, to your in-depth Aquarius solar eclipse 6 months forecast. I'm going to share with you the themes of an Aquarius solar eclipse and what makes this one unique, but how does that apply to your situation? Because the energy of Aquarius represents your ninth house, very much to do with expansion, travel, independence, and adventure. And you also have the transformational Pluto in the mix, as well as the assertive Mars. But in terms of the archetype of the zodiac, Aquarius energy for you is the 11th house, and that's where we've just had Saturn and Neptune arrive in the host of Aries. What's the implication? Because they're about your long-term future. And then, of course, we have got an exciting Pisces season to come. We're on the cusp of that. The sun moves the day after this event into your sector of ambition, and that's where your ruler Mercury is. And Mercury holds some potential cosmic gold for your next 6 months. Please stay with me as I unpack all of this for you. And in terms of your relationships, romance, and also your overall life opportunities. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundel. A very warm welcome. If you're new here, please subscribe and help the channel to continue to thrive. So on the screen is your event chart, and we have the sun and the moon. It's just under 29 degrees. It's the sixth successive new moon at that degree. Incredible synchronicity. We've got one more to come. But the position of Mars and Pluto in Aquarius really strengthens the power of this event, the first for 8 years in this zodiac sign. But we do need to look at what aspect exactly forms to the sun and the moon, and it is Uranus. And I think for you, this is particularly potent because last year you had Uranus move into your sign for 4 months, really evoking, if you've got early planetary positions, points, or angles in Gemini, the potential for new and fresh change. Because over the last 7 years broadly, Uranus in the 12th house has been somewhat challenging, I feel. And that is because for you, that represents the subconscious. It represents what we can't see. It can also represent secret enemies as far as traditional astrology is concerned. And Uranus can be a very disruptive influence. So it's possible during that time you may have felt on edge, restless. Things have not really been quite as settled as you would have liked. And you've been pushed in some ways to embrace parts of your nature or your activities that you may have been somewhat reluctant to do because your sign is ruled by the glorious Mercury, which is very cerebral. It's very much about fast communication. You can pivot on a 6 months. That makes you very flexible, very mesmeric, and a brilliant communicator. And you can get on with so many different types of people. So what happens with this duo squaring with Uranus is the energy of Uranus over the last 7 years, for good or bad, is going to be amplified. So you could find between now and when we have the next eclipse in the series of the 12th of August in Leo, which will be brilliant for you personally. It's very strong because it will have Jupiter and your ruler in Leo at that time. But it's an opportunity for you to really release what's no longer serving your greater good, because the ninth house can be about escape. It can be about freedom. It can be about moving on from something that we're not really enjoying. So whether it is lifestyle choices, whether it's some attitudes, whether it is some relationships, whether it's your work, if you feel locked in psychologically to something, I think this is a solar eclipse. Continue to be bolder in your approach about breaking free of anything, whether it's something tangible that's inhibiting you, whether it is where you live, whether it's a job that's dull, whether you want to go into the wider world and travel, whether you want to do something that has greater challenges, whether you want to connect more to people, because Aquarius energy can be very much about the network and it can be about community. So that's all very exciting. But Uranus, because it's potentially disruptive, may in some ways bring something about, something into the open, which will need to be dealt with. But because the sun moves so quickly into the sign of Pisces, along with the moon, you are on the edge if you want to shake up your professional situation of entering a period of opportunity over the next month. So if you have got a choice whether to stick or spin, the planets are really encouraging you to spin, to be honest. What's not to like, particularly with Mercury in the most visible part of your chart to do with your connection to the world in a fabulous link to Jupiter. Now, ever since the lucky Jupiter moved into Cancer at the end of May last year, it didn't bring you instant financial rewards in the way you may have hoped, because it was in a harsh right angle with Saturn, which at that time had just moved into the sign of Aries on the 25th of May. But as the year went on, by the time we got to October, November, Jupiter started to break free from the negative angle of Saturn. And in fact, ever since then, until really quite recently, they were collaborating much more effectively for you. But of course, Saturn's now moved into the part of your chart to do with your long-term plan, the quality of your friendships and alliances, and those could be tested. But if you have got an idea, a business that you're involved with that is very dynamic, that's fluid, that very Piscean energy, you can monetize that very successfully over the next 6 months. But it is going to require a touch of daring do. Now, I'm not suggesting for a minute that you're not someone who's always up for doing something different. You can probably be one of the most open-minded members of the zodiac. But we all have certain habitual ways of going about things that we want to maintain to keep ourselves feeling safe. And those may be the ones that Uranus is going to be knocking on your celestial door of your subconscious to really bring them in. So, for example, if you did have some wounding events earlier in your life that you've pushed to one side, been hugely dynamic ever since then, and had a very positive attitude, that's absolutely amazing. But if somewhere deep within you there is still resentment, hurt, upset still festering, I think there's every chance that it can be released. And that actually can be hugely cathartic for you. So do see it as an opportunity. We do also have a pretty good link between the sun and the moon and Chiron. So if you are in a healing mode, opportunities can come from putting your air sign, more logical energy, slightly to one side and being more in touch with knowledge, the ninth house, that can inform your more psychological or emotional well-being. But that energy is Saturn and Neptune. It may be in Aries, where we know it's very dynamic. Saturn tends to slow things down. Neptune can distort, but here it can make you more idealistic. So I think if you're linking with friends that lift your soul, it's a very exciting 6 months ahead. If you're locked into situations where you feel in some way inhibited, it's your opportunity to truly break free. Now, I mentioned about your love life, and of course, Venus is very key to that. If you are single, it truly wouldn't be a surprise if you met someone on a journey, through a holiday, or through your professional situation. And when it comes to money, I think generally, providing you're up to being very buccaneering and enterprising, you can improve your finances over the next half year. Now, if you've yet to watch your Gemini Saturn deep dive video, which will guide you for the next 2 years, please click on the link on the screen to watch it now. Also, there's a very powerful right angle between Uranus and Mars at the end of February. Please do check out your February deep dive if you've yet to do so. Now, if you'd like to take advantage of my unique special offers, you can order your printed reports, your natal forecast and life roadmap. And currently, if you apply at the checkout Astro 26, you'll get 50% off. Totally unique to you. If you prefer to look at the draconic, soul, or karmic perspective of your chart, you can order the draconic version. And at the checkout, please apply Draco 26. Thank you.